according to the nonpartisan White House Transition Project, Biden, who has given 2/3 fewer interviews than President Trump in his first 21 months in office.
And for some context on what the president said and why he's saying it now on TV, we're joined by Wright, associate research scholar at the Center for the Study of Democratic Politics at Princeton University in my great home state of New Jersey. Lauren, always good to talk to you. Thanks so much for giving us some time. I mean, listen, we are in the ninth inning basically as the midterms now less than a month away. Is that why we're seeing more of the president giving these interviews? He has some messaging to do here in the final stretch.
Yes, and frankly, I think it's smart. He's not very popular, but it is important for a president to get out there and to defend his or her policies, especially in the economic environment we're in. You know, no political strategist would recommend you sit back and see what happens. It's much safer to try to have control over the message.
Nearly every poll lists the economy as a top issue with voters as we're kind of getting closer and closer to the midterm. So here's what the president had to say about the talk of a recession.
Should the American people prepare for a recession?
No. Look, they've been saying this now every 6 months they say this. Every 6 months they look down the next 6 months and see what's going to happen. It hadn't happened yet. It hadn't. There's no guarantee that they're going to be. I don't think there will be a recession. If it is, it'll be a very slight recession. That is, we'll move down slightly.
So if you're someone at home and you're watching, you know, that ad, seeing your dollar is not getting as far as it used to, how is that going to impact a voter? I mean, this is very trivial. I went to Five Guys yesterday, had a little bacon cheeseburger for over $10. And it was not the way it was not that price just a month ago when I also went. So that, I mean, that's something trivial, like I said, but I mean, you pay attention to those kind of things.
Of course. And Alex, it's a really good point, because this is where I think there is a disconnect between what the White House is saying and what people are experiencing day to day. Is they are talking about technical definitions of a recession. That's not what people care about. I mean, depending which poll you look at, between 55 and 75% of Americans think we're already in a recession. And that's not because they're looking at macroeconomic data. It's because they're looking at their bills every single day. Food prices have gone up, even though gas prices are starting to come down. And so the White House does need a better answer for this. And Democrats campaigning really need to engage on this issue.
And for the Democrats, I'm trying to get a handle on what the message is ahead of November. What do you think the president is hammering on? Wants to kind of hammer home to the American people. He's not the most popular president at this point. We understand that, but his numbers have been going up. He can point to the COVID package. He can point to infrastructure. He can point to first gun control measure in 30 years, gas prices going down. But still, his numbers aren't where they like to be, where he would want them to be. And he can point to success in Ukraine. Ukraine's only doing as well as it is because of the money and weapons they've gotten from us, which is potentially another feather in the cap. What does Joe Biden, what does the Democratic Party want the image of themselves to be in these critical final weeks? Or is it all about inflation and abortion?
Well, it is about those things. And so Democrats are trying to put a positive spin on this legislative record. It's not typical that voters reward presidents for accomplishments, because politics is a game of opposition. So really the best tools, the best assets Democrats have right now are Donald Trump staying in the picture. And I'm sure he'll have all kinds of things to say in public after the January 6th hearings start back up tomorrow. And they have this abortion issue, which is not a good issue for Republicans. No matter how you ask it, across the board in most states, most people want some sort of legal abortion policy. And so those really are the tools Democrats have. It's not necessarily their legislative successes. It's the failures of Republicans or the most unpopular parts of the Republican Party. So what they have is they're able to say, do you want to go back to this? Do you want to go back to the Trump era and the chaos? And that's really one of the most effective messages that's out there for them right now.
So let's look ahead to 2024, because the president has yet to announce if he is in fact running again. I believe it was a month or so ago where he said, hey, it's too soon to talk about that. There have been questions about whether he could beat Donald Trump again. Last night, he addressed those concerns directly. Let's take a listen.
I'm not going to make this about my decision. I'm going to make this about this off-year election. After that's done in November, then I'm going to be in the process of deciding.
Is one of the calculations that you think you're the only one who can beat Donald Trump?
I believe I can.
So to your ears, does that sound like someone who is certain that they will be running for re-election? Really quickly, we're about out of time.
It doesn't. And I know, Rob, you and I talked about this a few weeks ago, but it has been shocking to me to see the evolution from don't ask me this, of course I'm running, to maybe I'll wait and decide. Right. And I would just say on the flip side, probably Donald Trump is the only Republican Democrats can surely beat right now. And so if they want to succeed, they have to get him out of the picture.
All right. Come back when you can, Lauren. Always enjoyed talking to you. I also want to ask you next time about the Hunter Biden issue, now that we could be closer to charges against the president's son. Perhaps that's something he may have to deal with. As always, appreciate the conversation. Thank you so much.